Hello everybody, hope everyone's doing well out there on this fine evening, and thank you for joining me on another movie review. As you can see, today we have The Hunger Games, the Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes. If you've not seen me do a movie review, what I'll do is read an overview as provided by Google, give you some general impressions, give you some responses from Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, thoughts on the cast, overall cinematography, but just general kind of impressions. From there, I will give you a grade, A through F, like the American school system, A being well done, B being entertaining, C being whatever, D being off-putting, and F being I turned off the film, walked out of the theater, but still found some reason to talk about it. And so once I give the grade, you're going to want to shut off the video. There will be spoiler alerts if you've not seen the film and would like to. And so we have The Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is a 2023 prequel film set 64 years before the original series, focusing on a young Coriolanus Snow mentoring tribute Lucy Gray Baird in the 10th Hunger Games, exploring his rise from a struggling capital student to the future tyrannical president. And so this is the 5th installment of the series of the previous videos or movies that I've liked substantially. We have a big lead role change from Jennifer Lawrence to Rachel Zegler, both actresses I like. I don't remember the director from the last one, but this one is by Francis Lawrence. And it just gives you some more kind of just overview of who's doing what in the film. So it was released in 2003, IMDb 6.6 out of 10, 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. Overall, I thought it carried the storyline pretty well. I thought Zegler did a good job. Just for the sequencing, I kind of like the previous ones better. We do have a dog helping us with our review. And so if you can hear him, he's making some noise. But regardless, just the overall strength, the whole series, again, this is the 5th one. I thought the other ones were a little better. This has a runtime of 2 hours and 37 minutes. So a longer movie, did keep my attention. I didn't feel like it was too long. Overall plot continuity, like I wasn't like bored checking my phone, but nothing really wowed me, nothing really stood out a ton. The soundtracks in this one, the first time, the do you, or whatever like the main jingle is, the Songbird, whatever, the tribute song that Jennifer Lawrence kind of introduced, or again, that when she was the actress, there wasn't that type of musical accompaniment that I thought was really strong in the previous ones. And so, same type of theme as the previous ones, pretty strong caliber. I'm going to go ahead and give it I'll give it a B+. Upper end of entertaining for me, kind of back-weighted by the overall series I like quite a bit. And so if you've not seen the movie and would like to, there will be spoiler alerts. I'm going to take you through the plot synopsis as best I can. In 2 hours and 37 minutes, not going to get every scene, but the major developments. So you open up, the main character is Coriolanus Snow, co-starring with Lucy Baird, played by Rachel Zegler. You get 3 kind of parts. The first part is just like literally like a minute or less. Coriolanus is extremely young with his sister, I believe, and his father is killed. You're right at the beginning of this Pan Am uprising to establish the capital's rule over the districts. And so after that opening scene, you get to part 2, the mentor, and Coriolanus Snow, he is at I guess like a school or academy to become the head game master. And so for our cast, we have Viola Davis as like the main headmaster. She's the one running the capital at the time. We have Peter Dinklage playing Dean something in the film, but he is like the main teacher to the potential next head game masters. And so those are kind of your big major players. And there's also Sejanus is one of Coriolanus's friends. His father's like big in the uprising. He's really rich. His kind of characterization, they're all in this mentor school, and he's kind of like sick of the system is kind of his characterization. Snow and a couple of the minor female characters, they want to be the next headmaster. They're there to go through the curriculum, I guess, and prove their worth, prove their loyalty to the capital, provide new ideas, so on and so forth. You're immediately kind of introduced to the reckoning, or whenever they call up the tributes. Rachel Zegler, who is Lucy Baird, she goes up there, she sings a little bit. And one thing I did not like was the accent. Her, Zegler's accent throughout the movie, I just didn't think, like, it's kind of off, but it was a little just like, huh. But regardless, she also has like the singing kind of aspect to her character. She puts a snake down the dress of the host, kind of, whoever's like hosting the reckoning or whatever. And so she gets picked. And so they get, each tribute is going to get a mentor, and Corleana Snow, who is about, I'd say they're about 17 to 20 would be my guess, but he is Lucy's mentor. And so, again, a couple other minor characters, both in the other tributes as well as the other mentors. There was one guy, black actor, just the partner that comes out of District 12 with Lucy Baird. And on their train ride, he gets bitten. The Capitol's kind of wanting new ideas. The viewership for the Hunger Games has been at an all-time low. It's only been going on for 10 years. So a substantial time chunk previous to the other movies. And so Lucy's district mate gets bit by a bat on the way to meeting the mentors. And so they arrive, they get dumped off in this zoo. There's news cameras. It's, again, a primitive kind of environment. The Capitol's not nearly as developed as the previous films. And so the camera crew catches Corleana Snow being like nice or friendly to Lucy Baird. Their actual interactions, like he's trying to help them. He's pitched to this, hey, let's get our audience to know the tributes back at the Capitol. And so, again, I'm missing up the chronology a little bit. But regardless, they see him at the zoo, and back at the Capitol, the headmaster, Viola Davis, she's like, yep, let's kind of get the people, whatever gets the numbers up. Peter Dinklage character, he's not thinking this is going to be a good idea, but she's like, hey, let's get the numbers up. And so they have some brief time to prepare, both with the mentor, with the tribute, and then seeing the arena as well, to pretty much the Hunger Games is going to be the next day. The actual games itself in this movie is not the pinnacle, not the climax of the plot development. And so they're kind of getting ready, and then the next day or like the nighttime comes and a bomb goes off. And so when this bomb goes off, the Corleana Snow can see kind of just like a gap in the arena, or just like some like lower level tunnel that Lucy can go to. During this time, Corleonis and one of the other mentors gets called into Viola Davis's like head office, and she has these really colorful, like, I want to say genetically modified snakes, but for this proposal of, hey, we should have the audience get introduced to the mentors interacting with the tributes. Snow's classmate tries to take responsibility for his work, and Viola Davis knows this, and she makes her put her hand in this big pit of snakes, which plays a role later on in the movie. And she tells it's a minor Asian character is the supporting actress I'm talking about. And Viola Davis tells her, like, hey, if the snakes have, smelled you, then they won't bite you. And the relevant thing being is the note or the handwritten stuff of this idea to get the tributes to see, or the audience to see the tributes, was written in Corleonis' handwriting with his scent on it. And so the Asian chick, she gets bitten. I don't think she dies. Again, this is PG-13. There's no gore or real violence. But she's kind of whisked away, and Viola Davis is like, tell the truth, you can get punished as well. And so the next day shows up. You kind of have the Hunger Games start. They form some bands. Like, there's a couple like minor plot developments throughout the games. Lucy hides in this tunnel, and she tries to poison the main antagonist within these tributes fighting is this kind of like redhead chick. Again, another minor character, but Corleana Snow has put in like some poison into Lucy's kind of like a locket on her necklace, and she puts it into water, tries to poison somebody, and she ends up inadvertently kills one of the other tributes, and to her characterization, she's like, I'm a killer now. And so that's kind of like one of the, I guess, a minor major theme is just the characters, kind of developing, oh, I caused death. It's not super convincing. Again, PG-13, not a big aspect, but it's definitely a recurring theme, a motif of the writing. And so basically, again, I'm not going to remember the whole movie, but a couple of the tributes die. The black guy from District 12, that's Lucy's clanmate or whatever, he had been bitten by the bat, so he kind of goes crazy. And then I want to say that at this point, Viola Davis... So there's one part that I did miss that's a major development, exactly when it happens, but during this time, before the games, Coriolanus Snow goes back into the arena to try to fix something or get somebody else out there. Sejanus, his friend, something had happened with Sejanus, and Coriolanus goes into the arena and he ends up killing somebody else. And so that's a major development for his characterization. When I was watching it, I missed exactly what happened in that sequence, and so my bad. But regardless, they're both, Lucy and Coriolanus are dealing with causing death as kind of like a major part of their development. And so the couple people die in terms of the tributes. One of this guy's kind of crucified or hung up on this thing. And then Viola Davis, the head game master, drops in these snakes. And so the snakes go around, bite everybody, they swallow people up pretty quickly. And then Lucy starts singing again. And the snakes don't bite her because they've been exposed to her scent, because Coriolanus had snuck in a note into the snake chamber, so they had been used to her scent, developing from when his Asian classmate had gotten bitten. And so they had, Lucy and Coriolanus have developed a love relationship at this point. It happens pretty much immediately at the zoo scene. Not super convincing, honestly, and again, the actual characterization of Lucy's accent was definitely, as a viewer, was just kind of throwing. But regardless, Coriolanus Snow is like, hey, Lucy won, you have to let her go. And because Viola Davis is like, hey, if all the tributes die, that's fine, whatever's good for viewership. And so regardless, Viola Davis does end up saying, hey, cut the game short, and Lucy wins. I think, again, I can't... The overall plot wasn't, again, just not as strong as the previous ones for me to remember all the little details. But Rachel's definitely not dead. I think she wins, or at least the games are called off, or they have to cut something. But she gets sent back to her district to play, just to be like a performer. She's a singer. In Coriolanus, something that happens, again, with the Sejanus, that whole situation, like I said, I don't remember exactly what happened. But both Sejanus and Coriolanus get kind of demoted or sent to the districts to do hard labor, because specifically for Coriolanus, Viola Davis realizes that he cheated. And so does Lucy win the games? Does she not? Again, I don't exactly remember, but it was null and void because he had put this note into there, into the little chamber with snakes, and it wasn't a fair win. And so Sejanus and Coriolanus are kind of talking about their departures, and Sejanus is fully up for an uprising now. And so there's another minor development where there's some birds that kind of mimic everything people say, kind of I guess, a predecessor to the Songbirds of the later Hunger Games movies, but it picks up the conversation and records what Sejanus is saying about being a traitor to the capital, and that gets back to the capital at a later time, or I think it's at a later time, but Sejanus gets deported as well. I think he gets killed, or he might get killed, might not, I can't remember. But regardless, Coriolanus goes to District 12, and then he immediately runs into Rachel again, and originally he gets assigned to District 2, and then he pays the person to deport him to District 12, immediately meets up with Lucy. She's performing at this, again, kind of like a rodeo, or a honky-tonk almost. They kind of go into a back room, and it's the mayor's son and his girlfriend are saying hey, we're going to go spoil this plot. Again, I'm not sure what Sejanus is, or if I think it's just another minor character that's a rebel. And so regardless, Coriolanus kills another guy. Again, not a violent scene in terms of cinematography. And this other rebel kills like the girlfriend. And so now they're in big trouble. He has this dirty gun, and they have two people that are killed, and can't that's a problem. And so Lucy and him, they run away together. Or at least they plan to. And so then they kind of like go off into the woods. There's another minor development where Lucy has previously, it's kind of like a lake house, lake cabin. And so they're going to go there and kind of run away together. And she takes him there, and then she literally takes him into like a cabin and is like, hey, if you want to fish, there's fishing rods under the floorboards. Before we run away, you can catch some fish for food, whatever. Opens up the floorboard, and it's the gun that he needs to like throw away that he just had at this honky-tonk venue. And so like how that gun got away is, I kind of forget. But regardless, Lucy kind of like goes off into the distance at this point, and Coriolanus just like disposes of the gun in the lake, and they kind of just like break off there, and he goes back to District 2, and kind of like the resolution to the whole movie is Coriolanus back into the Capitol, kind of being the head mentor directly under Viola Davis. And so he gets this promotion because he had sent back this songbird that had recorded Sejanus's kind of treason to the Capitol. And so that's kind of the resolution. Again, I missed some minor developments, but overall just not as strong as the previous one. Again, I liked both Jennifer Lawrence and Rachel Zegler. Probably have to say I like Jennifer Lawrence in the role a little bit better, but then again, it just could be the writing. Like we said in the previous one, can you have acting that outperforms the writing? I don't think so. But regardless, that's what I think. I just got a B+. We'll keep it at a B+. And so that is what I have for the Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes, The Hunger Games 5th installment. Thank you for watching.